welcome back to episode number 20 of Winning the Division. I am Ryan Smith, one of your co-hosts, alongside my co-host, former NFL tight end Ben Troupe. Hope everyone had a happy, healthy holiday season, Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate. And we are thankful for your listenership and all that you do with us here on Winning the Division, where you can find us on YouTube at Tobacco Sports Radio YouTube page. You can also find us at Keep Pounding Podcast Network and also the Fans First Sports Network. And as we get into it, Ben, here on episode 20, week 17 of the NFL season, just 1 week remaining. Hard to believe that the season has almost come and gone so quickly. Before we get into it, like usual, what are your themes from week 17 of the NFL season?
Oh, man. Well, first and foremost, congratulations to Saquon Barkley becoming one of, 6 men to break the 2,000-yard mark. I mean, I know obviously everybody's going to be looking for him to see what he's going to do week 18 in the season. 17, if you talk about the scheduling. Sam Darnold. So much talk about, what Baker Mayfield has meant to Tampa Bay. What Jared Goff is doing for Detroit. We sit back, and no one's talking about Minnesota, but you should. Now, that was a really, really good game. I know we'll probably get into with them in Green Bay, but very, very impressed.
Yeah.
The one, but before – I know I'm going to do my best to just keep it under wraps.
Okay.
These coaches who cannot manage the clock with timeouts, with rookie quarterbacks, I'm not understanding. It is week 17.
Yeah.
You have timeouts, Smitty, and they're not using them. And obviously, Coach Harbaugh, being back in the National Football League, people thought how many years is it going to take for him to get back to the playoffs. Incredible job he's done his first year. Justin Herbert and company, Derwin James, Bosa, you name it. But a great job by Harbaugh. And finally, when you start thinking about this NFL season, no matter what, we can talk about who's going to win the MVP. I have my take on that. Who's the best team? I have my take on that. Kansas City is the best team in the AFC. So no matter who you are and where you are, some way, shape, or form, either you're going to meet them in the Super Bowl or you got to go to Kansas City to get to the Super Bowl. So shout out to them Kansas City Chiefs, man, finding a way to get it done. It's not pretty. Oh, and Travis Kelce. I mean, going over 1,000 catches, just one of the greatest to ever do it, to some, the greatest to ever do it. So shout out to Travis Kelce. And, hey, man, let's get into it.
Yeah. Mine were pretty much similar to yours. The Minnesota Vikings, Sam Darnold doing his thing like usual. How about the New York Giants putting 45 on the Indianapolis Colts and ruining their number 1 overall pick position for now? But I don't think that's that big of a deal. We'll get into that. Buffalo Bills blowing out the Jets like they normally should. Shout out to Mac Jones, getting the Jacksonville Jaguars looking like he might look to New England when he had some help around him. Brian Thomas Jr. is a star in the making in Jacksonville. And I know it was against my Panthers, but Baker Mayfield, former Panther legend. No, I'm just kidding. Former Panther, Buccaneers quarterback, 5 touchdown passes yesterday against my Panthers. He looked pretty good. We'll get into that with my Panthers a little bit, but those were some of my themes as well. Let's go ahead and get into it, though. Before we actually break down the game specifically, let's get into our players of the week and not so players or teams or units of the week. I'll go ahead and start. Baker Mayfield is mine. 5 touchdown passes against my Panthers. And my kind of the with Sam Darnold was the other one on that Sunday afternoon game against Green Bay, where he could pretty much do no wrong and led the game sealing drive against Green Bay. Those are my 2 co-players of the week, Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold. My team of the week that was just nowhere to be found, Ben, is your Tennessee Titans. I mean, Mason Rudolph, once again, doing his best interpretation to try to be a bridge quarterback next year for the Tennessee Titans, but not much more than that. I mean, you could say the Jaguars got a feel-good win, sure, but the Titans just there's a lot going wrong for them. Not much to like for them. Tajay Spears obviously got injured as well, so not a lot to write home about for the Titans as there are going to be a lot of things happening with the Tennessee Titans this offseason. And a special shout out to the New York Giants for getting 45 points on the Indianapolis Colts, which I did not think was possible. So the Giants are kind of like they weren't my player of the week or team of the week, but they didn't do bad. So they're kind of like somewhere in the middle, I'd say, kind of a half-hearted good job to the New York Giants, I guess.
Like your list, mine is real similar. My players of the week: Sam Darnold, 33 of 44, 377 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. And that game probably was the game of the week when you saw Green Bay versus Minnesota. Sam Darnold getting it done. Saquon Barkley, 31 rushes, 167 yards, 5.4 yards, broke the 2,000-yard landmark. I mean, the New York Football Giants told Saquon Barkley, 1, we're gonna let you go to free agency. 2, we're gonna pick Daniel Jones over you, who's no longer with the organization. 3, we don't think you're that good anymore. Just went for 2,000 yards. That's why the Giants are the Giants, and that's why Saquon. And my number 3, Jaden Daniels. I mean, my God. 24-36, 227 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. 16 rushes, 127 yards, 7.9 yards a carry. The man is about as poised as it gets. I mean, it's almost like the bigger the pressure, the more he shows up. And obviously, was able to go out there and get a big win last night against, my Falcons to seal their playoff hopes, which, I mean, and broke RG3's rookie rushing record as well in the process.
Yeah.
Not players of the week. Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
For two reasons. Number 1, Aaron Rodgers was 12-18, 112 yards, 2 picks. Aaron Rodgers asked to be benched in the fourth quarter. He asked. Yep. He said, "Hey, just let Tyrod Taylor get in."
Yep.
And it was just awful. My team is the Jets. I mean, it's a lot of bad teams, right, Smitty? 40-0 at one point. 40.
Yeah.
Sauce Gardner comes out and says some guys just checked out. The interim head coach say, "I disagree." Well, you might want to look at the tape because it was awful. And this is different. My coach. My not coach of the week. It's Raheem Morris. Raheem.
I thought you were going to say Zach Taylor. So this is
no. Raheem. You got Michael Penix Jr. making his second career start. He has under a minute left with 2 timeouts to go down for the game, either sealing touchdown or game-winning drive. You use no time. You use no timeout.
Yeah.
And your kicker, who was aided by a pass interference, came up a little bit short. It was right outside his range. With all that being said, use your timeouts. Use your timeout. You're not going to be playing these mind games. You got a rookie quarterback making his second career start who was in a position to drive down the field. I mean, it was a Kyle Pitts sighting on Sunday night. Like, what is going on? Kyle Pitts catching touchdown passes. But Raheem Morris, when you say, hey, man, I give a lot of credit to those men for fighting hard. Man, listen, it's your job to put them in position to win games, not put them in the worst possible position, because it looked like Michael Penix didn't know what he was doing. You know why? Because he wanted to call the timeout. Michael Penix, if this is his first year, which it is, he don't know he's in a position to call a timeout. Smitty, he looked like a deer in the headlights. All Raheem Morris had to do was timeout. Didn't do it. And had 2. Didn't use any. And you find yourself on the losing end. Tampa Bay's probably going to win the division. Y'all just in the division. We'll see what happens week 18. But that is my not coach, team, players. But shout out to Sam Darnold, Saquon Barkley, who was in the same draft, by the way. Saquon and Sam, I think Saquon was number 2. I want to say Sam Darnold was number 3.
Correct.
In that draft. And Jaden Daniels. Listen, I apologize, Jaden Daniels, saying things like Bo Nix is kind of putting some pressure on you for the offensive rookie of the year. No. It is yours, sir. Congratulations, Jaden Daniels.
Yeah. For the record, Jaden Daniels would have been my 1A, 1B with Sam Darnold had Baker Mayfield not thrown 5 touchdown passes yesterday. Just to clarify, I did not want to have 3 players in there. That's the reason why Jaden was not in my top 2 there. All right, so let's get to the games. Quick recaps on these so we can get into the transactions, injuries, overreactions, and then kind of what to watch for in Week 18. And we'll get to the Coach of the Year, playoff predictions, and do our official do more of that sort of thing. Because really, the field is essentially set. I mean, we have 1 left for each division, and then I lied. We can do the playoff predictions next week since we'll know the field by then. But
yeah,
we can at least do some reactions there. So, so quickly, let's just get into these games, and we will just recap what we saw and kind of our reaction. So, first one, New York Giants dropped 45 points on the Indianapolis Colts, winning 45-33 as Anthony Richardson sat out with severe back spasms. Might be going in Week 18. Still not 100% sure on that one. But Tyrone Chase and Malik Neighbors become the third duo in NFL history to have 1,000 scrimmage yards in the same season, joining Reggie Bush and Marquise Colston from the Saints back in 2006. My takeaway from this game is very simple. While the Giants did win, their one pick hopes are not ruined because they could very easily send the Patriots a haul for that number one pick and still get right back up there. But anyway, thoughts on this game?
Drew Lock. I give him a lot of credit. When people always, to the people out there that say things like the NFL is scripted, the players, they throw in the towel once they know they have nothing to play for. They don't care about draft, where they are in the draft. Shout out to Drew Lock. You're saying, look, I'm always playing for my NFL future. I'm always trying to make sure that I put myself in a position to continue my NFL career. If you are the coach, you gave up 45 points to the Giants. Hey, listen, Malik Neighbors, nice. 7 catches, 171 yards, 2 touchdowns. I don't know. If you want a good receiver, get you one from LSU. If you want a good receiver coming out, get you one from LSU. But even with that, everybody kept saying, "Oh, the Giants, man, the Giants." And Smith, you kind of alluded to it. They're gonna have to prove in that front office that they know how to make common sense decisions, right? The Patriots, obviously, right now, the number one pick. But the New York Football Giants, they're gonna find a way to get in that position. And you mentioned a haul. No, Saquon Barkley is about to break the NFL rushing record. You better have something this offseason to show for that. And I'm not saying, and I'm free agency aside, we talking about Shedeur Sanders. I don't think it's gonna be Travis Hunter because they need the Giants need a lot of stuff.
Shedeur Sanders will be a New York Giant.
Yeah, he will. And think about it. You're gonna have a Sanders in the bright lights of New York. Oh my God, get ready. Get your popcorn ready, people. Malik Neighbors and Shedeur. Whoop!
That would be fun if that turned out to be the draft pick. Buffalo Bills beat the New York Jets 40-14. You talked about this a little bit earlier in your Players of the Week. Josh Allen now has 65 rushing touchdowns, tying him with Thurman Thomas, Hall of Famer, for the most rushing touchdowns in Bills history. So my thoughts on this game were, like you said, Rodgers, his retirement might be coming pretty soon. His era with the Jets might be coming over, is obviously going to be coming over soon. And my takeaway from this game is my Carolina Panthers need to go out and trade for Garrett Wilson. Let's get him to Carolina. That is my takeaway from this game. If Devontae Adams returns next year as a Jet.
Look at Smitty like, look, man, Garrett Wilson. But basically what Smitty is saying, you're wasting that man's talent. He's a really, really good player. Young players need to develop with young players. I think if Young and Wilson, ooh, man. He went to Ohio State. The bright lights of New York, even though it's in New Jersey, he don't want no part of East Rutherford. No one wants to live in East Rutherford at this point. But that being said, Josh Allen, when they said that 65 rushing touchdowns to me, I said, what? The record is 75 held by Cam Newton. And I thought nobody would ever even get close to that. He got 65 and counting. It's almost like when Josh Allen is playing like that, Smitty, it's hard to say any quarterback is better than him. Yeah, I'm not saying quarterbacks aren't. I'm saying when he's playing like that, because there wasn't a Amari Cooper sighting, there was a Keon Coleman sighting, right? But when someone says when you play for the Buffalo Bills on offense, he can win with anybody. Now it's not like he got a bunch of nobodies out there now with Cook and company. He got some players.
Yeah.
But when he's playing like that, and I know he playing the Jets, he showed why he is who he is and why the Jets aren't who they, are who they are. But that was beautiful football to watch. But if you are a Jets player, really, like I don't get this conservative play calling when you're already out the playoffs. And look, I don't want to hit. Listen, the people online, stop asking me, did I see the Aaron Rodgers documentary? I haven't seen. I don't want to see it. I do not want to see a documentary where they are there to make him look a certain way because, well, it's about him. I can see him. He asked to be benched on Sunday. He's not as good as he used to be. He gonna do something crazy this offseason because he Aaron Rodgers. He gonna dye his hair blonde or something. Who knows? But shout out to the Bills for showing everybody, Smitty, that going into the playoffs, they going in with a lot of momentum. And if you got Josh Allen, you got even Von Miller had a sack on Sunday. But that shout out to them Bills. I'm not going to talk down to them about them blowing the doors off the Jets. The Jets, we just talked about the Giants. The Jets might be worse than the Giants. They should just let the Giants play the Jets for just bragging rights. Because if you are a Giants or Jets fan right now, whoo, may God help.
We won't spend too much time on this next game unless you want to vent for a second, like on your former team, just like Pat McAfee did with the Indianapolis Colts. Since we already passed the Colts, did you have any comment on Pat McAfee's rant about his Colts? Since we already passed that game,
I was happy that he finally did it, Smitty, because I think that sometimes. And he goes, you got all these fans all the time, coming at me about, they're trying to make me out to be this guy that don't like. But I got to talk about what's happening. Like this wanting him to be favorable, being a favorable commentator because of his former squad. His former squad stinks. Right now, we're not talking about what they were. We're talking about what they are. Andrew Luck ain't running out of there. Peyton Manning ain't running out of there. Joseph Adai ain't running out of there. Edwin James.
Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne,
Marvin Harrison, Dallas Clark, Reggie Wayne. They're not running out of there. Love you, Anthony Richardson, because I have to, because you played for my Gators. But Pat McAfee has said, look, and Smitty, you know this. Pat McAfee have been dumbing it down. The way he talks about anything he was kind of like being real kind of professional when it came to the Colts. He said, I'm done. Because it didn't seem authentic. I don't know Pat McAfee. Obviously, we only get to know him through sound bites, so I'm not coming at his character. But I'm happy that he got the vent. Smitty, every time you come on here and you interrupt me because you want to talk about the Panthers, that's when you're being honest. I'm not saying you're not being honest, but it's like, dude, I'm frustrated because it's like, and I know we're gonna get to the Panthers and the Bucks, but shout out to Pat McAfee for finally saying what he's been wanting to say. And fortunately for him, unfortunately for him, he's saying things like, what do I say about Anthony Richardson at this point outside that he's athletic? And he's the all-time leading rusher at quarterback for the Colts. That's not saying much. They had Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning don't run the ball. They had Andrew Luck, who, ain't he the GM of Stanford now? He's like the general manager.
Yeah, Stanford football. Yep.
Yeah. So congratulations to Pat McAfee because, he doesn't work for them anymore. He doesn't owe them anything. He owes it to Miss McAfee, and if they got children, the Colts, man, they can keep
which they do. Yeah,
which they can keep up.
Yeah. The Jacksonville Jaguars beat the Tennessee Titans 20-13. So I say that if you had a soliloquy that you want to talk about the Titans with, if you wanted to, we can also skip it if you want. I'm
gonna do it.
My takeaway was that Brian Thomas Jr. is a budding star. He's one of 4 rookies of the Super Bowl era to record over 1,100 receiving yards and 10 touchdowns, joining Odell Beckham, Randy Moss, Jamar Chase.
I think Brian Thomas Jr. might be the best receiver out of this bunch, taking that away from Malik Neighbors. I think Malik Neighbors is like 3rd in catches. I think got over 100 catches. Brian, he a stud. Thomas is a stud. Neighbors is too. But let me just go ahead and get out this rant for it comes to the Titans. I am so sick of people thinking just because you spend money, you spend it wisely. This time in the offseason in 2023, Rand Carthon, my former teammate, played 4 years at Florida together, and I'm happy at the fact that he's a GM, had a lot of money to spend. He got Calvin Ridley. So he went out, and he added, some guys on defense. He added Spears and company. You know what else he did? He traded DeAndre Hopkins. They let go of Derrick Henry. What is he doing? What is that bum doing? He finna go over 1,800. So with everything, but what he didn't address? You got rid of Malik. He's over there with the he's over there with Green Bay. Actually came back and beat y'all when he was with Green Bay. And your starting quarterback and backup quarterback is Will Levis and Mason Rudolph. I cannot feel good, Smitty, when my starter was Will Levis and the backup was Mason Rudolph. What? And when people say, well, Ben, why do you say that? Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, they was with Carolina, not to jump on your Panthers. Yeah. If the organization is bad, it will make the players look worse. If the organization is bad, and when I say the organization, I'm talking about as a whole, front, management, GM, head coach, players. It's a group effort. I don't know if Will Levis and Mason Rudolph are bad or the Titans are just that awful. It might be a little bit of both now. Might be a little bit of both.
Right.
But I still gonna not throw Rudolph and Levis under the bus because that organization with my Titans. And let me say this, not just the organization for the Titans. The Titans, the Texans, the Colts, and the Jags. That entire division is awful. The whole division. But I'm gonna leave my Titans alone. I've said enough about them, and they already give me nightmares. So
yeah,
that's my pet nightmare.
Yeah, there you go. We'll keep it moving. The Las Vegas Raiders have won back-to-back games, 25-10 over the New Orleans Saints, as Aiden O'Connell in the team, 20 of 35, 242 yards, and 2 touchdowns. The Raiders following 2 straight wins from 10-game losing streak, which was their second longest losing streak in franchise history. My takeaway is Antonio Pierce is very much coaching for his job. I do not think it's a guarantee that he's back after just one season. I think next week is also another big case for him to keep his gig in Las Vegas.
I agree. While I was definitely I'm always rooting for Antonio Pierce. I think what he was able to do in 2023 was galvanize those guys, and he made it a real not easy for Mark Davis to make that decision, but he's also making it easy this year. Lose 10, you talk about 9-10 games in a row. I mean, even if you get a big win, I mean, Brock Bowers, over 100 catches, 1,100 yards, 4 touchdowns, broke Mike Dicker's rookie record for most catches and yards for a rookie tight end, but you're wasting his talent because I think Devontae Adams, your best player, wanted out. You got him out. You started the season with Gardner Minshew. That was your starter. And right now, y'all bottom feeders.
Wait. And you had Desmond Ridder against your Falcons.
You did. Yeah. Desmond Ridder against your Falcons. Wait, this is the same team that beat Baltimore. So it's like, what are they? Yes, it was early in the season when it come to Baltimore. You knew Baltimore was going to bounce back. But Antonio Pierce is a guy that I think has earned an opportunity to be a head coach. Sometimes you just won't – everybody thinks they can be that guy to turn around an organization. The Raiders have been down for a long time.
Yes, they have.
And I don't know what it takes to get – because even if you get there, now you got to stay there and elevate. I don't see him doing it. I do think he'll get a mulligan for this year, because he don't got a quarterback. Like, the one thing he don't got a quarterback. But getting a win is a win. You're going to take them any way you can, even if the season is over. And that's what I mean. So basically, the Raiders did what the Giants did. We ain't going to just bow out gracefully. We do still get NFL paychecks. But shout out to the Raiders, man. Still repping the best uniform in football, man. And it's silver and black for those of you who don't know.
Yeah. The Carolina Panthers, my Panthers, were blown out 48-14 to Tampa Bay in Tampa, with Baker Mayfield tossing 5 touchdown passes, 359 passing yards. Mike Evans, 2 touchdowns, 97 yards, and 85 yards short of his 1,000-yard season for the 11th straight season. So my Panthers allowed 551 yards, most since their 571 yards surrendered to the Vikings in Week 6 earlier this year. So, and one of those touchdowns by the Bucs was a blocked punt return for a touchdown. So here is my soliloquy on the Panthers. It's actually pretty quick. Bryce Young is a franchise quarterback. He is continuing to play well despite the talent around him on defense. They're down to their 5th and 6th string linebackers, basically practice squad linebackers playing on this defense. J.C. Horn was not out there. Josie Jewell was not out there. Derek Brown has been out the whole year. Shaq Brown has been out most of the year. You had Caleb Farley, former Titan first-round pick, going against Mike Evans. That's just not fair. And on offense, Chuba Hubbard was shut down due to a 2 to 4 week ankle sprain, which obviously it's the end of the year now. So they didn't have that balance to take between Bryce Young and Chuba Hubbard. Xavier Legette is continuing to drop balls. That's going to be a problem for him going forward, but I think he'll get it corrected for a second year. He'll get wrist surgery after the offseason. That's been announced. So I think the Panthers have a lot of things to be excited about in 2025, but my takeaways, and I don't like calling for people's jobs. Our special teams coordinator, who Canales brought over from Seattle, I won't mention his name. You can look it up. I don't think he'll be retained, unfortunately. My boy, your boy, Eddie Pinheiro, he's a free agent. I don't know if he's going to be retained or not. I'm going to go with doubtful at this point. Johnny Hecker, our punter, former Ram. It looks like his leg might be showing his age a little bit. He's a free agent. Not sure if he's going to be coming back, but a punter, that's somebody you can get, easily. And lastly, Ajero Avera, our defensive coordinator, who had head coaching interviews this offseason and the previous offseason as well with the Broncos. David Tepper blocked him from going to other teams to interview for defensive coordinator jobs this offseason. He re-signed with Carolina on a new 3-year deal. So my question to you before you get on the game is this. In his presser today, Dave Canales, they asked him about Ajero Avero's 3-4 scheme, which the Panthers have always run a 4-3. Mm-hmm. And he simply says, Dave Canales, I love the scheme. I know what it looks like when it's done well. That's my hope. So my question is, you can't read Dave Canales' mind. This could be coach speak. Do you think he's talking about the players that Avero does not have, and therefore when it's run well with good players, he knows Avero can run it well? Or is he talking about Avero being out of there and we get another defensive coordinator who can run this 3-4 scheme pretty well with the talent that's on this team and the talent to be added? Anyway, so there's my soliloquy, and then you can get into the rest of the game.
Well, I'll start with your soliloquy first. I think the thing about it, Coach Canales, is he's proven that you can't trust anything he says. This same Coach Canales that says right before he benched, Bryce Young, he's our quarterback, and then come back the next day, and they go to Eddie Dome. Now, I do think he needs a scapegoat because can't be Bryce Young no more. Remember how easy it was to Coach Canales when it was Bryce Young? Because when it's quarterback, it makes it so that we don't see no other problems. Your special teams are standing out, even in the midst of these games. They're standing out, and not in a good way. Now, not special teams, but defense. I think you're going to have to go to the scheme that works, not a scheme. What type of answer is when I've seen it done right? I know. Okay, but it's not being done right. Like, what you mean if we see it done? You got a bunch of players that don't fit this. You got a bunch of players that don't. And even in the wins, Smitty, it's because of what the offense is doing that complements the defense. This defense, I can't be in a 3-4 to where I can play good enough to complement the offense. Now, the game itself. Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans are not appreciated enough for how much they have this nice chemistry going on. Mike Evans, it's hard to say any player has been as consistent as him because you know why they don't want to get that to him? Because he ain't got no first-team All-Pros. Right, but he's been about as consistent as he can get. Super Bowl, added what? Now he got 105 career touchdowns because he had 2 on Sunday. Baker Mayfield, his resurgence has been incredible. I mean, it really, really has. And it's not that he's not playing well. He's playing extremely well because I thought that Tampa Bay was out, but then I'm a Falcons fan, so as you can see, not only is he playing well, he's playing well for solid reasons. Bryce Young took steps on Sunday. Again, stepping up in the pocket, durability. You remember Xavier Legette. Let me say this. If you go out there, Xavier, you got to catch the passes. I know you're going to have certain, you got to catch it. But I think it was just a desperation type game for a Bucs team to say, look, man, we obviously going to have to, we obviously going to be playing, opening weekend, but we want to be going in because people talk about the Bucs got some injuries too. I think the Bucs I don't want to get into the early. Shaq Barrett, who used to, not Barrett, but they all, I think his name is Shaq. He used to play for them. He retired came out of retirement.
Correct, Shaq Barrett, yeah.
Shaq Barrett. But no, I do think Coach Canales, where we don't give him enough credit for Tues, it's on the job training when you're a head coach in the NFL. And Coach Canales, I get it. Sometimes I don't know what to say, man, because sometimes you hire people who you are also friends with. So I don't know if he's friends with some of these coaches, but he's gonna have to make a decision at DC. I don't know if he keeps who he has, but
I think at minimum, if Avero comes back, I think there will be staffing changes.
You're gonna have to, because last time I checked, the D coordinator from Tennessee went to the Giants. I'm sorry.
Yep.
But I think sometimes, though, you're going to hire who you're familiar with, but I'm not going to bring it. But if you bring in a guy who he runs this defense, you say, well, I've seen it run well. Yeah, but who's the personnel? I can tell you I've seen something run well, but who were the guys running it? So, yeah, it's going to be a lot of changes in the offseason, and I think one big one's going to have to be the D coordinator, only because you got a bunch of play. Because even if you bring guys in to fit the system, what about the guys you got? So, but you know, it's hey, man, that's why they play them GMs the big bucks.
Yeah, that's another conversation for another day. The Philadelphia Eagles beat the Dallas Cowboys 41-7 to break the brakes off them. 20th consecutive year that the NFC East does not have a repeat winner of the division, longest streak in NFL history. Last time was those Eagles from 2001 to 2004.
Kenny Britt. I like what he's doing. You know, with Jalen Hurts being out. He's playing.
Kenny Pickett.
I'm sorry, Kenny Britt. Kenny Britt.
Former Titan receiver Kenny Britt. Shout out to him.
Kenny Pickett. I'm sorry, Kenny Pickett. I apologize. He's looking really, really well. He's playing well. Him and Devonta Smith has something going. I think the thing about these Eagles teams that what makes them dangerous is they're playing well on both sides of the ball. The passing game has been good. It hasn't been great for Philly. It's been good. I want to know now, Smitty, the biggest question is going to be, you know this. Time off in football throws the timing off. So when Jalen Hurts does come back, because you know the passing game was kind of like hot and cold with him this year. I don't know how that's going to look for them, but hey, man, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, former Florida Gator, man, a pick six for a 70-yard pick six, two picks that day. They look really, really good. Dallas is going to do the best they can. You know, I mean, obviously their season been over, a lot of injuries, Dak being the biggest one. But Philly look good. Saquon Barkley, sir, I don't know what these GMs be talking about. I really don't. I mean, it just you say
that's the other thing. I mean, the Giants let it go. You know,
who did you say that Chuba Hubbard? Somebody said that Chuba Hubbard is a bargain. That deal they gave him.
Jonathan Stewart.
If Tiki Barber, who had a lot to say when Saquon Barkley decided to move, I'm sorry. Tiki Barber had a lot to say when the Giants moved on from Saquon. What do you got to say now? What you got to say now, Tiki? Anyway, shout out to Saquon Barkley, who's probably going to break the record. Hey, I'm just happy for the young man. I really, really am, because when people say, "Do we got any left in the tank?" Yeah, he does, and he signed a 3-year deal, and that might get extended. He might get some more money now with what he did in his first year. But shout out to him.
Yeah. Let's go to South Beach, where the Cleveland Browns beat the Miami Dolphins 20-3 with Snoop Hundley, as the quarterback, as Tua Tagovailoa sat out yesterday. And he was 22-26, 225 yards, 1 touchdown. With 2 sacks on Sunday, though, from the Cleveland perspective, Myles Garrett, first player since individual sacks were tracked in 1982 to record 14-plus sacks in 4 consecutive seasons.
Well, look, this is what I'm gonna say about this game, right? There was some Miami Dolphins fans, because Tua didn't play. They said, "Oh, this is a guy." They showed that this is a guy who doesn't care because he got his money. You know, sometimes your own fan base is the worst, ain't they? It's almost like, what do you mean he doesn't care? Number one, we never know what Tua is dealing with. But when Tua got concussed and he was showing signs of just, you know, brain failure on the field for all to watch, the viewing public was saying, and the public opinion was saying, don't come back. God forbid, Smitty, he starts taking care of himself, you know, trying to make himself as healthy as he can moving forward. But hey, Myles Garrett shows that even in a losing effort, his ability to affect the passer is incredible. He has the best pass rush rate in the league. Take nothing away with TJ Watt and different guys. Myles Garrett, I mean, when he came out of Texas A&M being the number 1 overall pick, people said, "Man, I don't think he's gonna be that good." What you got to say now? Huh? Oh, okay. Myles Garrett is about as good as you could play the defensive end position and a football player. and he played for Cleveland, and he give you everything he got. And if you think, oh man, he ain't that good, try to block him one-on-one. But shout out to Miami still find a way to get a win because Huntley being in there, man, you just happy for him to get a big win.
And they're one of 3 teams left in the AFC fighting for that 7th seed. Bengals, Broncos, Dolphins. Those are the 3 left.
And so it will be a fight to the finish come week 18. We'll see what happens. I'm looking for fireworks week 18.
And then finally, Minnesota Vikings over the Green Bay Packers 27-25. Sam Darnold, we talked about him earlier, was very efficient. But I want to talk about the the Vikings defense. They've won 9 straight games following back-to-back losses in week 7 and 8, longest active winning streak and win streak in season for Minnesota since 1975. Their 14 wins are the second most in team history. Where that year since 1998, where they finished 15-1, where they lost in the NFC Championship game that year, ironically to your Falcons. But this defense, 47.1% of man coverage on their dropbacks, second highest in our game this season, including 11-13 third and fourth down dropbacks. But yeah, I mean, this defense is playing phenomenal under Brian Flores. I would not be surprised if he was hired as a head coach once again this offseason. Somewhere like a Cleveland, somewhere like a Chicago Bears. We'll see on that. But great game. And now the Lions versus Vikings next week on NBC. The last game of the regular season for the 1 seed is Vikings-Lions.
Well, I will say this about Brian Flores, right? I mean, no one ever said he couldn't call plays for one side of the ball. It was always how does he handle being the head coach, and obviously – I don't know how much his previous situation with Tua Tagovailoa is going to hurt him potentially getting a new head coaching job because people are going to be like, well, what if you get a quarterback that you don't want or don't really admire that much? Do you tell him things like he sucks, he's the worst? But anyway, that whole situation was crazy. There's a player on Minnesota real similar to Mike Evans at Tampa Bay that no one talks about, and he's only been like that is Harrison Smith. Harrison Smith was playing in Minnesota when Brett Favre was there, probably. I mean, he's been doing it. He's been so solid, Smitty, that no one talks about him. But he is the anchor of that defense. Jonathan Gennard, who went to Green Bay, went to Minnesota in the offseason, replaced Daniel Hunter, who went to Houston. So they swapped. I say this about Minnesota. Everybody want to make it about Sam Darnold, and everybody want to make it about Justin Jefferson and, Jordan Addison and company. That defense is just as good. I'm not saying they are just as good. So when you think about Minnesota, what keeps them in games is that defense. So I've been very, very impressed. Like I said, Brian Flores, don't know if he's going to get a head coaching job, Smitty, but he will get some interviews because what Sam Darnold is the talk of Minnesota. But we talk about complimentary defense, it doesn't get more complimentary than what they're doing up there in Minnesota right now.
And then finally, let's end on your Commanders, your Falcons. The Commanders take down your Falcons 30-24 in overtime. Scary Terry was shut down most of the game last night, though, with A.J. Terrell. But Sunday's matchup, Jaden Daniels versus Michael Penix, just the 3rd game between rookie quarterbacks on teams with a winning record since 1950. First since Andrew Luck versus Ryan Tannehill. But anyway, Jaden Daniels has played won the last 2 games. He and Commanders also won against Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears, as we know, on that Hail Mary back in week number 8. So Commanders over the Falcons 30-24.
This is a tale of 2 halves, right? 17-7. And I'm like, oh man. Falcons got a lot of momentum. But people forget, Commanders was making a lot of mistakes first half. Come out second half, Commanders made second half adjustments. Falcons did not. The biggest takeaway from this game is this. How in the world do you not protect your rookie? And I'm talking to Raheem Morris. How do you not protect him? He's in the perfect position. Game-winning drive, 2 timeouts. Smitty, and people say, well, Ben, you telling me if you use the timeouts, they win? No, I'm telling you use them because that's how you coach. I would never, ever blame a coach for something a player controls. I will always blame a coach for what he controls and losing control of it. Mm. They lost the game. And I'm not saying they lost the game because of the timeouts. I'm saying your kicker his leg ain't that big. You know, he ain't got what a Young Waku got as far as like, in that leg. But Michael Penix showed a lot of poise. But Jaden Daniels, man, it's been a long time since you got a rookie like this. That's just because we always talk about the Commanders, man. They ain't had nothing to look forward to in a minute, too. The last time they was good, they was the Redskins. They're the Commanders now. But Jaden Daniels has proven to be a top 10 quarterback, definitely going to be the runaway offensive rookie of the year. And no, he would not be in the MVP consideration as he shouldn't be that, but he coming. And for those that's comparing him with CJ Stroud, don't do it. Don't do that. Jaden Daniels is him because he does it in a lot of ways. But yeah, the Falcons will look back on this game and say what could have been. You left a lot of plays out there. But shout out to Commanders. I'm not going to take nothing away. That was an incredible win last night.
And then finally, you may not have anything to say really quick before we move on. You had the two games on Christmas, Chiefs over the Steelers 29-10, Ravens 31-2 over the Texans, and then the snooze fest that I'm proud to say I did not watch a single second of, the Seahawks 6-3 over the Bears on Thursday night.
The Seahawks in the Bears game was so bad. I mean, to the point where you like, how many times can you say, what is happening? Like, think about this though, Smitty. You don't watch the game and you wake up and go 6-3. And that's how bad life is in Chicago. In a 6-3 ball game, you the one that had 3. You can't even get that wasn't snooze fast. But I will say this. Everybody want to lock up an MVP to Josh Allen, I get it. You might want to watch Lamar Jackson. And just how he does it. It is effortless. Oh, shout out to Lamar Jackson too, breaking the all-time rushing record held by Michael Vick, which I think is going to get shattered again by people like Josh Allen, Jaden Daniels, maybe even Russell Wilson. Who knows? But if you are the Texans, you should be very nervous because while you're going to get to host a playoff game because you're going to win, you're an okay team in an awful division. They're going to have to show that offense going to have to show, man, that they got a little bit more creativity because the way they look against the Ravens and Pittsburgh. You got to go through Kansas City to win it. So how they made y'all look? I'm just saying. Everybody talk about, oh man, it's just one loss. Yeah, but how you look in the loss, you look bad. And George Pickens, love you as a receiver. Got to keep your head in it, man. You out there not running routes on pass plays. Throwing your helmet. So yeah, but 6-3 though, Smitty, people, I say this every week, people pay good money for their subscription. It ain't even cable no more, subscriptions. Every game was on a different subscriber now. Good Lord, you can't even find the game no more, but hey.
Yeah. Let's get into the latest headlines for this week. Ron Rivera, Rex Ryan, both expected to interview for the New York Jets job. Former Panthers and Ravens receiver Deontay Johnson looking for a fresh start with the Houston Texans, looking to make his debut this coming up season finale week. Andy Reid not revealing yet whether he wants to play the Chiefs starters against the Denver Broncos. Titans to evaluate and play both Mason Rudolph and Will Levis in the season finale. And finally, Gerard Mayo, another coach that I think might be one and done, we'll see, says his focus is beating the Bills, not the number 1 pick.
Well, that's what you're supposed to say. That's what he's supposed to say. Shout out to Riverboat Ron and Rex Ryan, man, getting an opportunity to get back into coaching. Problem is, Rex Ryan we already seen Rex Ryan with the Jets. And last time he was the Jets, he had Mark Sanchez. They went to back-to-back AFC Championship games. How did that end up? He ended up with Ryan Fitzpatrick. Anyway, Riverboat Ron, and I heard from his time with the Redskins, now Commanders, to with Carolina, I heard he's a great coach to coach for. The only thing that ever rubbed me the wrong way with Riverboat Ron is you ain't even gonna call Cam Newton to give him a try when you went to DC. That's crazy. Anyway, but and Deontay, get it together. I mean, I hope it works out with Houston. I'm never ever rooting against nobody like that. But hey, NFL, man, never a dull moment. Never a dull moment.
Yeah. Yeah, and Do you think the Titans are going to get a quarterback? And they're evaluating Rudolph.
They have to. Listen, they I think they're gonna have to get two. Definitely got to get one. Meaning they got to get a. I think they got to get a veteran quarterback in free agency. You know, it's somebody there playing really, really well. One in particular, that wears purple and gold. And I think you got to get one in the draft because I think now, Smitty, a young quarterback needs a veteran quarterback to show him the ropes, but you need a veteran to, kind of like set the foundation of the team. Because the Titans got to. Good Lord, yes.
I'm trying to think. Former Carolina quarterback, I think it was Sam Howell. He was traded from Commanders to the Seahawks. Now he's backing up Geno Smith. Do you think Levis gets traded to somewhere and then he backs up somebody next season? Do you think that's somewhere something like that?
Most definitely. I do think because no matter what, Will Levis has starting experience in the National Football League, so he could be good for a trade. I mean, Malik Willis got traded to Green Bay, so it's not like look what we see as as evaluators or onlookers or just lovers of football. Somebody else can say, look, do Will Levis need a new environment, a new address? Yes, but so does Mason Rudolph. So you got two guys in the same boat. I don't know if you can get rid of both, but you definitely try to use one to be able to lure somebody in. But the greatest thing about the Tennessee Titans is Nashville is a beautiful place to live and there's no state tax. Outside of that, and you get to play in the AFC South where anybody can win that. Anybody.
Yeah. And then I failed to mention the 3 Saturday games. My bad. Chargers over the Patriots, 40-7. Bengals over the Broncos in overtime, 30-24, and Rams over the Cardinals, 13-9. Those were my the 3 games I did forget to mention. Did you have any comment on those games from Saturday?
Sean McVay might be up for Coach of the Year for what he's been able to do with these Rams. Who's going to win that division? They're going to win it, and they're going to Puka, you know what I'm saying, the Cooper Kupp, and obviously, we don't appreciate a guy like Matthew Stafford enough. So shout out to Sean McVay that just stayed the course because they dealt with injuries too. Stayed the course. Sorry, San Francisco. Sorry, Seattle, and obviously Arizona. May God help them. But, shout out to Sean McVay and those Rams, man. And they're going to be one of the dangerous teams going into the playoffs because no one saw them being here. But Cooper Kupp and Buka, they're a hard cover. Him and Tutu Atwell, them boys like that, hard cover out there.
So, side note from Joe Burrow, since I'll just say it for the Bengals' sake, the only quarterback that Bryce Young is trailing is Joe Burrow in this category. He has 8 touchdowns, Bryce Young does, when pressured since becoming quarterback number 1 in Carolina after his benching, and only Joe Burrow has more pressured total touchdowns in the league. So Bryce is playing some good football with Joe Burrow right there, who let's get into my overreactions, Ben, before we do some special segments for this last week of the season. If the Bengals make the playoffs, Joe Burrow should be the MVP. This is my number 1 overreaction, or is this a proper reaction?
If Joe Burrow did win MVP, I mean, people go crazy, but I mean, I wouldn't lose my mind because everybody want to make it about what Lamar's doing and Josh is doing and Saquon is doing, rightfully so. But to come back, they was buried. They was done. In the AFC North, that's about as competitive as to get with what you're talking about, what's going on with Baltimore and Pittsburgh. So, yes, I kept saying it. I said he's having an MVP caliber season, but the team is overshadowing what he's doing record-wise. But, yeah, if they make it to the playoffs, because they make it in, Smitty, then you got to deal with Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Joe Burrow.
Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and wave the flag. No flag in my hand, but I'm going to wave the white flag. I've seen enough. The Minnesota Vikings are going to the Super Bowl with Sam Darnold. I think it's going to happen. I think it's going to happen. And I don't think I would have said that at the beginning of the year because I think if people go back and listen, I did predict the Vikings to be the best 4th place team of all 8 divisions.
Listen, if this would have been week 10, week 11, I would have not. But because they've been battle tested, that NFC North, Green Bay, Detroit, and their other team, in Chicago.
The one that Aaron Rodgers still owns.
Yeah, it's It's been super duper fun watching Sam, but like we just mentioned, defense, Brian Flores, offense, and McCartney was supposed to be the guy. Like the fact that the guy starting was supposed to be the backup all year. When he came in the locker room and they showered him with all that water, man, Sam Darnold means a lot to that team. Minnesota got a big decision to make because obviously you get a first-round rookie and you want him to develop, but do you bring back, do you tell him, do they Jordan Love McCartney because of what Sam Darnold is doing? We'll see what happens, but, hey, I'm on the Minnesota train now because they can do it really in all three phases. They can do it offense, defense, and special teams, and good luck trying to stop that offense and move the ball on that defense.
Yeah. Just a couple more. With the number 2 seed wrapped up officially in Philly, Saquon should sit out week 18, forgo the rushing record of Eric Dickerson's record. Do you think he's gonna? I think he should sit out. It's not worth getting injured. I know it's against your team, the New York Giants, again, who you still probably want to stick it to back of your mind, but I think he's going to sit out in week 18.
Absolutely not. No, Smitty. Let me tell you why. These opportunities are about as rare as they come. And look at how it's set up. I get to break it against a team that tell me, I don't think you. It ain't a pet. Listen, let me say this. Saquon is not a petty player. He's not a me player.
Right.
But he wants this record.
Oh, I know.
Eric Dickerson don't want him nowhere near it. Right? Because that's what Eric Dickerson got that no one else has. Who got the most votes? You know what I'm saying? But yes, play him, break it, sit him. Yeah, play him, break it, sit him. There you go. Play him, break the record, sit him down. Do that because Saquon has earned this, man. Saquon, people were laughing at him like he ain't that good of a player. No, he was a great player on an awful team. Right? So, yes, play him, break it, sit him, and it can be all smiles after the game.
Finally, if the Patriots have the number 1 overall pick, which I think they're going to, they need to blow everything up. They need to just hire Mike Vrabel, get him with Drake May, build that culture. He's a former Patriot player, and then they're probably going to draft Travis Hunter with the number 1 overall pick if they get that. And then just start building this thing back. But yeah, Mike Vrabel in, Gerard Mayo out.
I would say this. I don't know if you get rid of Gerard Mayo only because you don't know what you have in him. And Mike Vrabel, while he was a former Patriot, he was a player then, not a coach. And while it worked in Tennessee is not the New England Patriots. But I will say this. They got the best bargaining chip there is. We got the number 1 overall pick. What you want for it? Like we know you want something, but they're going to say, well, what you mean, Mr. Kraft? You want what? My firstborn? Man, they had my firstborn. I want him. You see what I'm saying? So because that's football, I need something to negotiate with. We got the number 1 overall pick. Y'all want the overall pick. What you willing to give up? That's how, and for people don't think those type of trades don't matter, in 2004, my draft class, the number 1 overall pick was the then San Diego Chargers. The number 4 overall pick was the New York Football Giants. Eli Manning goes 1, Phillip Rivers goes 4. They swap, right? Eli goes to New York. Phillip Rivers goes to the Chargers. Phillip Rivers throws for a gazillion yards. Never won an AFC championship. Eli Manning, goes to back-to-back Super Bowls. Goes to 2 Super Bowls, beats the Patriots, kills the perfect season. And they end up getting more picks than that, like Sean Merriman. They end up getting a bunch of picks out there with Phillip Rivers and company. But yeah, I do think that number 1 overall pick is a beast, boy. You can make sure your future is very bright when you got the number 1 overall pick. It just depends on, how high they want to fly in New York. We'll see.
Yeah. All right. Before we get into a couple of special segments that we've got planned for this final version of our podcast today, let's talk about very quickly regarding this week 18 coming up. When it comes to the players that we're going to kind of be watching a little bit more closely. You talked about Saquon already. Do you think teams like the Bills, like the Chiefs, do you think they should play their starters? Or do you think they need to go ahead and sit them down? And if they can't improve their seed, do you think – because the whole rest versus keeping people in game shape, because I mean that's a real debate. And just
if you are Kansas City, you might play them. I think you sit them because you're gonna get a week off. It gives you extra time. Like Kansas City has done this a lot. Most teams they got to get used to it. Kansas City has done this a lot. What they can't do anything else. We can't go up and down. This is what we got. I think you sit them. You give them as much time off as possible to get them legs back. Buffalo as well. Because here's the thing, Smitty, that getting injured is real, and I don't know what it's about games that don't matter that key guys get injured. People are like, oh, y'all all superstitious. No, we're not superstitious. We let the numbers show. So I think for a team like Kansas City, Buffalo, yeah, you sit them. Not because they're gonna get hurt, but because if they do, it's gonna be you should have. That you should have sat them down. So you sit them down, give them a chance to get all rested up, get ready for this hopefully a long playoff push.
Yeah. Before we get into the segment for Week 18, I wanted to bring up a couple of things from college and integrate them here into this podcast, since we're and we'll go more into the draft, obviously, but let's just say things kind of end up where they're currently at right now, which I believe is New England 1, Tennessee Titans 2, and the Cleveland Browns are number 3. Do you think? Is it right? Am I right on that?
I think you are New England Titans, Browns.
Yeah. Do you think? Do you think Travis Hunter, Shedeur Sanders, and Cam Ward would go in that order, or Cam or Shedeur, or do you feel like we might have a Eli Manning, Phillip Rivers situation on our hands, like you just talked about? Is Deion going to let Shedeur go to a Titans, to a Cleveland? Because we talked about the New York Giants cleats that he's been wearing. I don't think that's a for show thing. I think I think Deion knows something that maybe the rest of us don't know. Just saying.
I will say this. I think the New York Football Giants are saying, look, we got to get this right, because we've messed up so bad. I mean, the guy, like I say, the guy that we thought wasn't good enough about to break the record against us, the guy that we salvaged for him, or the guy that we kept for him, he's gone. We don't have a quarterback. We need two things. We need a quarterback. He need to be box office. Shedeur Sanders is both of those things. They're going to find a way to get him. Now, Titans and the Browns, I don't think they're going to get out of 2 and 3. I don't, because they both need a lot. The Titans need a quarterback. Does Travis Hunter go 2? I don't. Not if Cam Ward is there. If Cam Ward is there, you get it. Because Travis Hunter is going to be dynamic. But once again, Smitty, dynamic on bad teams don't matter. Dynamic on bad teams don't matter, because you're going to be Corey Dillon when he played for the Bengals. You're going to be Barry Sanders when he played, or Calvin Johnson when he played for the Lions. But I think the Giants are saying, I don't care what we got to do. We are going number 1, and we're getting Shedeur. So New England, they got some bargaining chips. Titans and the Browns, because they need so much. You got teams that hold on. The Giants need a lot too now, don't? And they got Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau and Dexter Long. You see what I'm saying? They got all these players. But the Giants,
and obviously after Week 18, we'll know more about the exact order as far as all that.
And like I said, let me tell you something too, though. I love Shedeur. Love with Deion what they're doing. Shedeur, you don't got to wear it. Don't wear it. I got him a Giant. Don't do that. Because Deion can say whatever you want to say. He is not a GM. He is not an owner. I don't care how much charisma he got. Because if New England does the unthinkable and says we'll draft number 1 and keep our number 1 and get Shedeur, who gonna stop us from having 2 quarterbacks? Ooh, I'm just saying they do some weird stuff in New England. This draft can get very weird if no one moves out of their draft position. Just saying. At least for right now.
Really quickly on Cam Ward, you said this earlier regarding Saquon Barkley and then resting starters and stuff. I know this is the NFL podcast, but he's about to be in the NFL. Go ahead and talk about it. Let's just go ahead and talk about it.
It doesn't make any sense.
He's about to be an NFL player. He's about to be an NFL player.
We don't play at all. Smitty, it don't make no sense. Number 1, you lose the game. And for those who don't know, when it comes to the Hurricanes, right, Cristobal Has never won. He hasn't won a bowl game yet. They lose a record goes back a long way.
So I guess my question is, what they said this was planned. Okay, fine.
I don't believe it. I'm gonna tell you why. This is why I don't believe it's planned. Right? This is why I don't believe it's planned. If it was, that's a dumb one. It doesn't make any sense. Why? Because the number 1 overall pick or the number 2 overall pick played the whole game and they got blown out. They played the whole game. Cam, dope. I know what it was. So you broke the record and you come out the game. You got 156 career touchdown pass. Dylan Gabriel has 153 for Oregon. He might have a shot to break it because he get to play, with the college football playoff against Ohio State. Smitty, this is how you know it don't make no sense. As soon as you don't play in the second half, the first thing you say is why? Why would you say why? Why would we say why? See, when we start saying things, he's going to be an NFL player. He was going to be an NFL player the whole year. In every game. Why go out and play in the first half when it's like that? Why ain't playing the second half? It don't make no sense. Because you lose the game. You lose the game. Now, I get it if the game's out of hand and you sit. I get it. The game was still in doubt. So listen, let me say this. Let me say this the right way. I am not criticizing Cam Ward if indeed that was the plan for him. I'm just saying it don't make no sense. That's all. It just don't make any sense. Why? Because it used to be the opt-out. They wouldn't even play in it. They ain't gonna play in it. Leonard Fournette and those guys. That's fine. I'm not calling nobody out particularly. I'm just saying those caliber of players. But why play if you're not gonna play? I just don't get it. Yeah, I know I'm older, and this is why I do podcasting, but it's all good. It just don't make any sense. It just don't. Because when you lose, if the first question they ask you is why Cam, that was the plan. Why? Exactly. That's why you went 10-2. And you went to the Pop-Tart. But you're in the Pop. Man,
great game. Another Pop-Tart bowl, cinnamon sugar mascot going down, sacrificing. Okay, let's get into it. This is our first segment of a first special segment. Week 18, top 5 things to watch in Week 18, not games, but things to watch in Week 18. So this could be a team, this could be a player, whatever you want to talk about. Since I sprung this on you, I will go first, so that way you can have some time to think this over. All right, my top 5. So I have to have at least one on Saturday since there's 2 Saturday games. My top number 5 thing to watch on Saturday is going to be Joe Burrow and the Bengals. Can they win their ball game against the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh and have a chance to get to the postseason? My number 4 thing to watch is going to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Will they beat the New Orleans Saints, which renders your Falcons irrelevant and sends them to Cancun for an early summer? Or will the Panthers spoil the Falcons anyway? Who knows? But the Buccaneers and the Falcons NFC South is my number 4 to watch. My number 3, can the New England Patriots stay at the number 1 overall pick as they are currently constructed versus the Buffalo Bills, who will probably be playing against Mitchell Trubisky, not Josh Allen. And Josh Allen, it sounds like, might be playing for just a brief time and then come right back out of the game. So most likely Mitchell Trubisky versus Drake May in New England. That's my number 3 thing to watch. My number 2, will the Detroit Lions or the Minnesota Vikings get the number 1 overall seed? I think it's in Detroit, but I have a sneaky feeling on the Vikings. I just like the way they're playing right now. Detroit is very injured. I don't want to underestimate Jared Goff because I definitely have him. I've had him on my fantasy team all year. Trust me, I've not underestimated him one bit. And then number 1 is something we talked about already. Will Saquon Barkley play against the Giants and break his record, or not his record, the record of Eric Dickerson against his former team, the New York Giants, in the city of brotherly love, the Philadelphia Eagles? And since we don't have a toilet bowl this week, I'm just going to say the game, and you should not waste your time on a Week 18 watching for any such manner because, well, let's be honest, these 2 teams are garbage. It's going to be the Jaguars and the Colts. Colts officially eliminated from playoff contention this past week with a loss, and the Jaguars are going.
It took 17 weeks for them to get eliminated. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. So those are my top 5 things to watch in Week 18. Ben, what you got?
I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna go 1 to 5. My number one is listen. Saquon Barkley going for the record. I mean, there are moments in time, Smitty, that we would. I don't remember Eric. I was too young. You probably wasn't out the womb yet when Eric Dickerson was breaking records. So I want to see redemption for a guy like Saquon Barkley. Number 2, Sam Darnold gets the top seed in Minnesota. They're gonna beat Detroit for the top seed in the NFC. I'm gonna be looking for that. My number 3, do these teams like Kansas City, like Buffalo, rest their starters? Like, do they play the game of chess, right? My number 4, what coach is coaching his last game? Because it's going to be some coaches get let go. You just mentioned the Jags and the Titans. Well, I don't know if Doug Peterson going to make it. Now, people going to say, well, Trevor Lawrence, when you had you, this goes back to 2023, how bad they've been coaching and playing. I want to see what coaches are going to be on the hot seat. Number 3. Number 4. Can my Falcons beat your Panthers and get some help? They need some help. A lot of help. And number 5, though. My number 5. We talked earlier. You got the Bengals. You got the Dolphins. You got the Broncos. You got the Bucks. You got the Falcons. You got teams. I want chaos. I want some chaos. I want some upsets. I want people like, what is going? I want chaos in Week 18 because Smitty, that's why we really watch Week 18. It could be some stuff. You know how you're thinking, you know how you see these crazy scenarios, 2 teams got to lose up here, that team got to tie win, and there's no way. And then it starts happening. Uh-oh, is it happening? Is it happening? Is it happening? I want chaos in Week 18. Do I want this? The Bengals, the Dolphins, and the Broncos? Because guess what? If the Dolphins lose, if the Dolphins don't get in, they're going to blame it on Tua Tagovailoa not playing last week, and they just won. Right? If the Broncos don't get in, they're going to say it's because Sean McVay plays are too long, and don't nobody want to watch that. Don't nobody want to see that. It's going to be like, oh, they ain't blocked the kick against Kansas City. If the Bengals don't get in, they're going to say because it's the Bengals. If the Falcons don't get in, they're going to say because of the Commanders. If Tampa Bay don't get in, they're going to say, oh, it's because they can't do it without, you know what I'm saying, Tom Brady, whatever. I want chaos in week number 18. But I want to see some good football. And if you are going home, which a lot of teams are, aka every team in the NFC, in the AFC South, not named Houston, because Houston is bad too. They good in a bad division. Anyway, I just want to see some chaos, but I do want to see some good football. And for this being our first year doing win the division, it's been a good season, man. We still got a lot of episodes to go, people. This is not the ending episode, but hey, I've been enjoying doing it with you. And like I say, if your Panthers send my Falcons home, it would be fitting. And I'm gonna come up with every excuse not to come on next week. Sorry, I will be here. I'll be here.
Yeah, Michael Penix versus Bryce Young should be fun.
It should be fun. The lefty versus the righty.
Yeah. My official prediction for the last playoff spot, since we all have been determined except for the seedings, obviously, with the last 2, I do think Tampa is going to beat New Orleans and render our game kind of mute. I do think that's going to happen. And then in the AFC, I think the Miami Dolphins are going to – who did they play again? Who did I say they were going to play again? Hold on, people. Just a second. I think they play the Jets.
Okay.
Yes, they do. I think they're going to find a way and win that game. So I don't think the Bengals are going to get in because they need that to happen. So I think the
Bengals – Jamar Chase will still get that triple crown. Most catches, most yards, most touchdowns.
I think the Bengals will win, but it won't matter because I think the Dolphins are going to win. But do I think the Broncos are going to beat Carson Wentz and company, assuming Mahomes sits? My gut tells me they will. That's my official prediction. I think the Broncos will get it. But if somehow, some way, the Dolphins find a way to lose that game to the Jets, I think Burrow gets. I think the Bengals are going to get it. I do.
Chaos. That's what I want. Chaos.
Yeah. All right. So last things were coming up on our normal about an hour and 10 minutes. We can do our official predictions once the all the Black Monday has come and gone. We have a total of the openings and whatnot. But here is just for people. You talked about the coaching openings, so that made me think of a segment really quick here. So we know the teams that currently have openings: the New Orleans Saints, the New York Jets, and the Chicago Bears. Teams that could or should have head coaching openings, in my opinion, we've got the New York Giants, the Las Vegas Raiders, the Jacksonville Jaguars, maybe the Dallas Cowboys. And then you've got two potential one-and-dones, the Patriots, as we mentioned earlier, and maybe your Titans. Maybe. That's a very maybe. And then the long shot that I don't think is going to happen, but I've heard some people talk about it, is the Bengals with Zach Taylor, but I just don't see that one.
You get rid of Zach Taylor, somebody go snatch him up before he even leave the building.
No.
And Coach Stefanski for Cleveland. You let those two guys go. They'll be head coaches in a minute. New York.
No, I think they said Stefanski is going to be returning, if I'm not mistaken. I think
because he knows football. He knows football.
Yeah. So my official prediction, I'll just go and give it to you. These are my teams that I think will be searching for new head coaches. We've got the Saints, the Jets, the Bears, obviously already. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars will be added to this list. I think the Raiders are going to be added to this list. I think the Giants are going to be added to this list. I'm going to say Jerry is going to keep McCarthy. That's my bold prediction. I think McCarthy is safe. I think the Titans are not going to one and done Callahan. But I do think the Patriots very well might. So I'm going to say 6 as of now, with a 7th with New England as a strong possibility, but I'm not going to predict it yet. I'm going to say 6 openings as of right now for my coaching carousel prediction. 6 openings.
I mean, I think Gerard Mayo will be fine. I think that Robert Kraft doesn't get a lot of credit for the type of, how stable he is as an owner. Antonio Pierce, I mean, I don't know, because Mark Davis is a wild card. You never know what he's going to do and what he's thinking about doing. A lot less stable than his daddy Al. I think Doug Peterson is gone. I just don't see a reason why. You can't even win a bad division like the AFC South. Obviously, you talk about, the Jets are already, we already Chicago, New Orleans. I think the thing about these one and done coaches, it makes the GM look inept. It makes them like they don't know what they're doing. So I think the one and done's, it'll be more speculation than actuality. But no, I think I think Coach Callahan will be fine. I think Coach Canales will be fine. I think.
No, he ain't going anywhere.
So yeah, I mean, I'm like you. The Jets, New Orleans, Chicago, Jacksonville,
Giants,
Coach the ball. Yeah, I think if Saquon breaks the record, he's gone, because that's the ultimate slap in the face.
Now, I have a suspicion. I don't think both GM and head coach are going to be gone from the Giants. I think it's going to be one or the other. I think you got to get rid of the bowl. But here's the thing, because I don't know if a new GM will want him, because GMs usually pick the coach picks the players. I don't know if the GM. I don't know if a new GM. Because what are you getting? A guy that picks Daniel Jones, who's gone. So the guy you picked is gone, and the guy you didn't pick is about to break the record. I don't know if you want that guy. That's true. All right. Well, as we said at the top, this has been Winning the Division, episode number 20. Week 18 is upon us, the last week of the NFL season. We'll have another episode once again next week, where we will talk playoffs, give our exact predictions, as we will know the field, the playoff field, the seedings, exactly where everyone's going to be going. We'll give our predictions to the Super Bowl, the road to the Super Bowl through Kansas City. We know in the AFC, Detroit or Minnesota in the NFC, that to be determined. And then we will also get into, assuming before we record next week's episode, that we'll have some coach firings. We might have a time to play matchmaker for some of these job openings. What's a good candidate fit for some of these jobs? Who is going to take some of these jobs? And who are some of the coaches to look out for some of these teams? And we'll get into, as usual, recap the last week of the regular season, things that we liked, things we didn't like, and everything in between. Keep rate, and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. This is Winning the Division for Ben Troupe. I'm Ryan Smith. Let's remember, you're either in the division or you are winning the division. So long for now, and we will see you in 2025.